Hello Internet, my name is Taliesin.
And I'm Evitel, and welcome to the weekly reset, Taliesin and Evitel's Wondrous Wisdomshow, bringing you all of the latest WoW news and knowledge, because... Well, wait, Taliesin, where's Khadgar?
Do you know what? I'm not entirely sure. We've been waiting for him for hours now. But the good news is we are 9,764 places higher in the queue now than when we started, so I'm sure it won't be long.
Well, I guess he is just really popular right now. Well, wait, what's happened to our studio?
Ah, yeah, about that. You know, I'm sure that's nothing. I guess our studio is just really popular right now, so it makes sense that it won't work entirely. Isn't that right, Khadgar? Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe we should just try restarting.
You know, that's actually a really good idea. I'm sure that will fix everything.
Okay, Taliesin.
Look, I know what you're about to say, and honestly, I think this is fine. This is absolutely fine. The show is just obviously, really popular right now. That's why we're having troubles.
Okay, well now I know you're lying. At least when all of this is sorted, I'll be able to play all of the awesome new allied races, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you've got all your reputations to Exalted.
Wait, what?
Let's start the show!
Tepartos!
Okay, I have to hand it to Blizz for somehow managing to make this week's Q&A much more exciting than it had any right to be. Because, okay, we are always excited about these things, but in fairness, we are WoW nerds, and we're the kind of people who genuinely want to know what t-shirt Ian has plumped for today. Standard BFA baseball style, clean, classy, could wear to a party or a meeting, I like it. Or what bun Law has decided to rock, pro wrestler attending a school parent evening, nice choice. So we're an easy sell, but honestly, Blizzard managed to turn this into so much more because, and this is something that others have said too, and I agree, they managed to make this feel like an expansion launch. First came the rumours. About an hour before the Q&A was due to start, people began tweeting us because the price of Legion had just been halved on the Battle.net store. Then came the whispers, as pre-order text and images were finding their way onto various sites. Then the excitement as it became clear that bloody hell the pre-purchase is available right this very minute. Then the scramble as players found themselves in online queues literally tens of thousands long to actually buy the thing, and then the Q&A and confirmation that the 4 expected allied races were indeed able to be unlocked and played as part of the pre-purchase right away. Honestly, as we sat in our living room waiting for the stream to start and all this news began filtering through, there was a genuine tingle. And not the usual, I've been sitting at my desk for 12 hours and now my legs feel weird, I should probably see a doctor seriously right now sort of tingle, but an excitement tingle. The kind of excitement you usually get for an expansion reveal or a launch, an excitement that was unexpected, massively distracting, and actually really, really fun. The community was buzzing. We had a pre-purchase. We had sweet pre-purchase mounts. We had actual real-life allied races right here, right now, and we had a Q&A to keep us entertained while we sat in that long queue. So, you know, as long as Ian and Law could make this stream last 6,405,119,470,038,039 days, then we're gonna be just fine, you know? Evitel is gonna give us the lowdown on what was actually said in the Q&A in a little bit, but I wanna talk first about the aftermath. Because with the best will in the world, when you have hundreds of thousands of people all logging into the store to buy a pre-purchase at the exact same time, there's going to be problems. And when all those people then log into your game to apply their pre-purchase, there's going to be problems. So to cut a long story short, there were problems. And these problems range from the understandable all the way through to the downright shitty. First of all, those queues to purchase, those can't really be helped and should be expected. Actually, I would go as far as to say that they, to some extent, actually added to that Christmas Eve type feeling of hype and the sense of occasion that came with it. Because, you know, it wasn't like Blizzard were going to run out of pre-purchase downloads. These aren't concert tickets or something, so if the worst happened and you had to wait for the next day to get your hands on it, then it's not like anyone is missing out. Plus, the community sharing screenshots of their ridiculously high queue places and wait times, that was actually quite funny. That was all good bants. But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about the forums, aren't you? And what they made of all of this. Well, you know, obviously some people were upset, but to be honest, most people just didn't care. It was fun. Then, though, came the slightly less fun stuff, like the reports coming through from people who were getting charged multiple times for their purchases. That the sheer weight of traffic on the store, combined with website errors and people refreshing the purchase page, was seeing some players receive 6 charges to their account. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, I like the Seabraid Stallion with its little lantern, and that ravasaur is legit, but all the glowing hair in the world probably isn't worth $300. I bet the forums had some things to say about that, didn't they, Taliesin? And you'd be right, they did. But when people see $300 charged to their account for a purchase that for some reason hasn't even processed yet, that is a legitimate grievance right there. But even then, most people know enough about how online purchasing works to know that that money hasn't actually been taken from your account yet and has only been requested by Blizzard. And seriously, if this happened to you, forget about Blizzard, forget about the forums, contact your bank because they will get your money back. And it sucks that that happened, obviously, but pretty much everyone that it affected is going to be okay. So genuinely, there wasn't too much panic there either. But then there was the other not fun stuff. So you reached the front of an hours-long queue, you managed to buy the expansion, maybe 6 times, maybe just once, and upon logging into the game, if you could log into the game, the purchase either hadn't been applied, or the purchase had been applied, but all the realms were down, all the realms were okay, but holy shit, your characters have been deleted. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait, people's characters had been deleted? And seriously, not just Mac users, but proper players as well. You're thinking, wait, actual character deletion is crazy. The forums must be in meltdown. Tell us about the forums, Taliesin. Well, okay, generally, people were keeping their cool because yes, when you log in and all your characters are gone, your first thought may well be, oh, my characters, 14 years of my life gone. This is the actual worst day of my actual life. And your second thought might well be, oh my God, I'm free. I'm actually free. At last, I can get cracking with that PhD, thank God. But your third thought is probably going to be, well, this sucks, but let's be honest, my characters aren't really deleted. This is clearly just linked to all the other trouble that's been happening tonight. I'll log on again later and it'll probably be better. And generally, it was. So yeah, it turned out to be a bit of a mess, but it was worth it though, because once you had navigated that Cryptum Factor of an Assault course and actually made it into the game, you had all of the joy of the pre-purchase waiting for you, which is essentially allied races. Yes, earlier than I expected, but I have never before been happier to be wrong, or indeed before ever been wrong. Because this is great, right? 4 new races to unlock through unique quest lines, a real reason for you to try out that new zone scaling properly to level them up with, and sweet transmog rewards. This is just so cool. It's easily the most significant addition we've ever seen to the game in between a climactic raid and a new expansion, and it's all available to you right now, as long as you had some spare character slots, because those extra character slots, they weren't added for a couple of days afterwards. Oh, and as long as you meet the reputation requirements with the appropriate factions, obviously. I mean, you do have your reputations done, right? After all, they're all connected to stuff that you'll have done just by playing through the game at a pretty casual level, all part of the main storyline of the expansion, all pretty reasonable requirements. I think we can all agree. Actually, I'll tell you who definitely did agree. The forums. Because okay, it's not often that you'll find the forums in total unanimous praise for anything, but honestly, with the new allied races, I'm pleased to report that this is totally one of those times where everyone just accepts that it would be weird to be able to unlock, say, Lightforged Draenei if you've never even been to Argus. It's gameplay that takes you through current, relevant content with an awesome reward at the end of it, and most of all, that no, it was a shit show. Obviously. Pure bullshit. All I've got today is disappointment so far. Rep sucks, it's not fun. Boring! Nope, not doing it. Pretty sure you're all the laughing stock of the entire gaming community. The fact that you put up with this rep grind proves you all have the lowest amount of self-respect and are working on some deep psychological issues that can't be solved playing WoW. It's truly mind-boggling that this was approved. This mentality is what killed Vol'jin. Rip Vol'jin. Yeah. Rip Vol'jin. Anyway, I want to very quickly give my views on this because there's a couple of issues raised that I think are interesting. One, the fact that these races are locked behind a reputation at all, I think, is quite reasonable. If you need Exalted with Argusian Reach before they agree to sell you a Tabulk, it would be odd if they'd fight and die for your cause for anything less, really, isn't it? And it's not like these are obscure reputations either. You'll be well on your way to completing any of them by playing through the story of the game, which I highly recommend you do. I really enjoyed it. Having said that though, I would not put myself on the side of those who reply to the complaints with things like, well, I worked hard for my reps, so should you, suck it up. Because yes, I got all my reps last September and have enjoyed the rewards I got from them. Yes, I think it makes sense that allied races require certain reps to unlock, but really, if people want to access them without being exalted, honestly, why not let them? If people are genuinely adamant that they don't want to play the content that I think they'll enjoy, that's a shame, but does it really affect me or my own enjoyment? No, it doesn't. Let them have the races. Seriously, I don't care. I'm also intrigued by the idea that there is some inherent horde bias in these reputation requirements. That because Highmountain Tauren and Nightborne require much earlier reputations, more players already have them, so those races are easier to access than the Lightforged Draenei and Void Elves for the Alliance, whose reputations are linked to more recent Argus content. And I can kind of understand that, I suppose. Although if I started playing Legion today, I think I'd be much more daunted by the idea of grinding Suramar and the Nightfallen reputation than the Argusian Reach, put it that way. Plus, all arguments about any anti-alliance bias can be comprehensively disproved, blown out of the water with one simple word: Tapartos. If Blizz love the Horde so much, then how come they gave the Alliance the greatest character not only in WoW right now, but maybe even in the history of video games? Seriously, there's a reason they had to wait till the end of Legion to introduce Tapartos. It's because if they'd had Tapartos on the Broken Shore, then Legion would never have even happened, because there would have been no demons, because Tapartos would have killed them all before we even got there. In fact, Sylvanas and Anduin both know that whatever happens in the upcoming war, whatever atrocities go down on either side, the only thing that must never, ever be allowed to happen is that Tapartos must never be allowed to fight Zappy Boy, because then we're just talking mass devastation on a global level, which would make the Cataclysm look like a paper cut, you know? I like Tapartos.
And for those of you still struggling with any of your reputations, then from next week, the World Quest Weekly event is going to help you considerably along the way. Also, don't forget that although Argus World Quests on Kroken and Antorus are usually only marked as awarding Army of the Light rep, they very often sneakily give you Argusian Reach too. Sneaky world quests. And don't forget that running the seat of the Triumvirate Dungeon gives you Argusian Reach too, just saying. So in all the excitement of the pre-purchase, it was easy to miss a lot of what actually happened in the Q&A itself. You know, one minute Ian is talking about something super interesting, like not being able to solo queue for 3v3s, which I obviously find super interesting. But then suddenly I've gone 17,000th in the pre-purchase queue to 5,400th, but somehow my wait time has gone up from 3 hours to 6 days, and so I'm so busy thinking about that, then before you know it, I've totally missed Ian's answers to prestige levels in Battle for Azeroth, which I'm pretty sure would have been something I'd have found really interesting. It was that kind of evening. Well, don't worry, because we went back and watched the whole thing again, and the TLDR is, you didn't miss much. There was the bit where Ian confirmed that we'd be getting Draenor orcs as an allied race at some point in the expansion, which is obviously no surprise if you're a regular viewer of this channel, because we predicted playable Draenor orcs along with Nightborne, Dark Irons, and Highmountain Tauren back in September. It's not a big deal though, it's not even worth mentioning. And it should mean an answer to all your brown or slightly orange orc skin tone prayers to go alongside your straight-backed orc prayers, and if we're super lucky, might include specific clan details in the customization options, so you can explicitly be a Frostwolf or Laughing Skull or whatever. That would be pretty sweet too. There's a bit more information on new Battle for Azeroth features, like the new Uncharted Island invasion scenarios, and how their main reward will be Azerite. Get used to hearing that, I guess. Probably the most informative part of the stream, though, was a long discussion at the end regarding class changes in the next expansion, and the team's overall philosophy regarding balance in Battle for Azeroth. We want to do a full video on this to do it justice, but there is promising talk of bring the player, not the class, being a widely misunderstood term, and a renewed focus on classes having specific niches and strengths within groups, of taking the strong spec identity Legion needed so badly after years of homogenization and refine that into a focus on class identity and utility. It was basically pretty much exactly what we wanted to hear, and bodes well. But like I say, we'll be talking about it all in a lot more detail, hopefully this week. Oh, and they love Titan Forging, and they're gonna keep Titan Forging, and actually they all want to marry Titan Forging and settle down with it in the country and have lots of Titan Forging little kids and a Titan Forging dog, and basically your life is still all about Titan Forging forever, so get used to it. Okay, fine. They won't have it on Azerite gear, which we knew, or weapon drops, which is a blessed relief to learn. We finished with two things sadly removed from the game this week. The first is the new pre-purchased digital deluxe edition mounts, the Seabraid Stallion for the Alliance and Gilded Ravasaur for the Horde. Now, obviously this is another clear example of Horde bias, because although the horse is quite nice, as horses go, especially if you've got a thing for Victorian lanterns and gallows scaffold, the Ravasaur is a legit awesome mount that any Horde character would be proud to ride around on with their new allied race character that was much easier to unlock than their Alliance counterpart. Well, as we tweeted on Wednesday, an unnoticed bug totally pissed on that Horde parade by allowing players to summon the opposing faction's mount with the /cast command. So if you were Alliance, you could totally ride the Gilded Ravasaur, and if you were Horde, you could totally ride the Gilded Ravasaur. Basically, everyone could ride the Gilded Ravasaur, and everyone was happy, so that got fixed. And a more obscure loss. The memorial plaque to Tiffin Rin, wife to Varian Rin and mother to Anduin, appears to have been removed from the Stormwind Cemetery. We never saw her in game or in other Warcraft media really, and she's notable more for who she's related to than anything she ever did, but her memorial was a nice world-building touch that enriched the Warcraft universe in a small way, and it's difficult to see why it would be purposely deleted. Perhaps there's some Tiffin Rin retconning coming up? Who knows?
So, as far as the reputation grinds for the allied races are concerned,
yes.
you know, we've got a bit of a horse in each race here, because I've got all the reputations. Obviously, I've had them for ages, but for some reason, somehow, you don't, do you?
No, I just don't.
So
you know what it was? It was that kind of like 3/4 of the way through Legion slump. Well, it's not even 3/4 of the way. I feel like we still have a lot of it to go through, but you hit a bit of a slump where I wasn't really gonna raid, and I got really tired of doing the world quest.
You were never like a world questy type person so much, were you either?
No.
So
Obviously I did have enough reputation for a Nightborne, so I've rolled a horde side, and I love it, and they're so proud. And
I love that kind of just
sassy
standing thing.
They remind me of
so
me.
Cool.
They remind me of my ideal version of myself, just a bit like.
And you didn't fancy Lightborne Draenei?
I can't play them. I can't play them yet.
But
although I've seen some amazing fan art for Lightborne Draenei, which I'm actually.
I would go as far as to say as the Lightforged Draenei have the best fan art.
They do.
Any of them. Because speaking of fan art, you'll look. I'll tell you what this wall needs is some fan art.
This empty space.
Yeah. Now, obviously, last week we launched our art competition to create an artwork that will fill this part of the wall. It is a prize of $100 US direct to your PayPal. It has to be the very specific dimensions of 30 by 40 centimetres.
Yes.
Taliesin and Evitel at gmail.com.
Art competition.
Which is the title, otherwise we will not see it. We have, I'm very pleased to say, received lots and lots of entries already.
Oh, we have.
And they range from the sublime to the ridiculous, but they are all, without fail, wonderful.
And I cannot wait to talk about them.
I cannot wait to show you the parade.
I don't know if you know this, Taliesin, but I'm an art historian.
I do know that, actually.
So, just saying, I will be judging this, up against the
your vast knowledge.
Yeah.
It will close at 11:59 p.m. 23:59 in 24-hour clock.
Yes.
Yeah. On February the 10th.
On London time.
Yes, absolutely. London time. Whatever time we're on at the moment. So do your research, Google it, and get that in. Brilliant entry so far. Thank you so much if you have entered so far. And if you haven't entered, pull your finger out, mate. Get your pencils out.
Seriously,
and
guys.
Get some art for this wall. It's going to be awesome. But thank you for joining us today. If you liked this video, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real-life money to help these videos happen. Guys, without you, the weekly reset would not happen. It's kind of all down to our patrons, really. The weekly reset in particular. Oh, and it is almost time for our big Q&A for the patrons as well. We'll be filming that this week. Got some awesome questions. Many awesome questions. I think we've got another 2 hours worth.
Oh, yeah.
Just like last time. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Skull Shorties.
Your name isn't Skull Shorties?
No, my name is not Skull Shorties because it was already taken. Otherwise, it would be.
Oh.
No, my name is Taliesin.
And I'm Evitel.
Until next time, cheerio.